Welcome to today's class, day 4 of the intermediate class. Today, we are going to explore the Microsoft 365 platform services. We are going to explore Exchange Online as an enterprise admin, SharePoint Online, Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Power Platform. We are going to create our first Microsoft Power Apps using any available templates. We are also going to create a flow using Power Automate. We are also going to create a chatbot using the Power Virtual Agent. And also I would show us Power BI and the dashboard and how to create a workspace on Power BI. So without further ado, I'm going to start with Exchange Online. I'm going to be sharing my screen now for the demo. Okay. So in Exchange Online, if we look at the admin center, this is where you configure, you manage, you create either shared mailboxes, resource mailboxes, your group mailboxes, your contacts, your mail flow. So I'm going to be going through these one after the other. First is a shared mailbox. What's a shared mailbox? A shared mailbox, as its name implies, is a mailbox that can be shared among users. We have user mailbox, which are personal mailbox. For example, if you have like a no reply HR mailbox, instead of it being a personal mailbox, you can use a shared mailbox and assign some users to it. So these users can have that extra mailbox as theirs. Then for groups, we have different type of groups. We have the Microsoft 365 groups, which can also be used in Teams. We have the distribution list. We have the dynamic distribution list and the mail-enabled security group. Now, the major difference is Microsoft 365 group as a mailbox and also can be used in Teams to chat. Distribution list does not have a mailbox. It's just a list of people, most especially.
So can you help us expand the slide a bit so we can see can see? I said, can you help us expand the slide a bit so that we can view it very well. We can see it from.
Is it bigger?
Or
is it better?
Okay, fine.
Okay, all right, that's good. Is it okay? So as I was saying, distribution list is just a list on its own. It's mostly an assigned list. For example, if you want to send out a bulk emails to people in an in the IT department, you can just create a distribution list saying that, oh, this is the IT security group or the IT security list. Then send an email out to them. Or you can also do that also with all company as well, depending on what you want. Then for the dynamic distribution list, the dynamic distribution list is similar to distribution list. However, the major difference is that if users leave a particular, you set an attribute to add them to the list. For example, I want to add everybody in the sales department to a list, but I don't want to be doing it manually. I don't want, if somebody joined my company today and the person is the sales team, I now add them manually. So what we can do is we can create a distribution list and say, if users are in sales, add them to this list. So what happens is that automatically, even if you create a new user today, it checks if the person is in sales, the person is added to the sales list. If the person is in IT, the person is added to the IT list. And once the person changes from maybe IT to sales, the person automatically leaves the IT list to the sales list. So dynamic distribution list is always very good. I prefer dynamic distribution list to the normal distribution list, but that's just me. Then the mail-enabled security is it's also a type of security group where these users have like an access to like do stuff. Like you can give people in this particular group, you can give them a role. Like for example, I want let me use an IT again. I want IT to be able to be an admin and so stuff. You can use mail-enabled security group for that. So that's the major differences between these four groups. Then I go to resources. Now, resources is, we have two different type of resource. We have a room resource and an equipment resource. For example, you have conference room, you have maybe you have two conference rooms. Then for the equipment, you have like projectors or this. So you can easily create an email address for this room resource for conference room 1, conference room 2. So people can also see when these rooms are available and or when this equipment is available. So if somebody, for instance, have used a room resource in the Microsoft Teams, maybe conference room 1, and somebody else wants to use that conference room, it's not going to be made available. So that's what the resource mailbox is actually for. It's used as a placeholder for resources. Then we go to contacts. Contacts is basically like on our phone, we have contacts. You can easily create a contact from here as well for your but they're not like users in your organization. They're just like contacts on its own, and they can be a mail contact or a mail user. For mail contact is external. For example, my name at gmail.com, your name at gmail.com can be a mail contact. But if you want the person to be a mail user, like a guest user, you can also create them here as well. So as an admin, these are the basic things you should know as an Exchange Online admin. I'm just giving an overview for the MS 100 exam. Then for the mail flow, this is where you start a trace for a mail. Now, when do you want to start a trace? Why do you want to start a trace? It's just to track the flow of email messages in your organization. When I used to work as a support engineer, I usually have requests saying that the sender is saying they sent the message, but the recipient is saying they did not receive the message. So you can start a trace. If they're in the same organization, you can start a trace here. If they are in different organizations, you can start a trace at both ends. So sometimes it tells you like, oh, this message is in the quarantine. That's why the recipient did not get it. So as you can see, there are different delivery status. There is all delivered, expanded, failed, pending, quarantine, filtered as spam. So sometimes people don't check their junk email, and when somebody sends them an email, it's found in their junk. So you can use a message trace to say, oh, this is what happened to the email. The email didn't disappear. It's in the quarantine. And you can release it if it's a good email, or you can tell the user that, oh, this email is spam. We cannot, due to policy, we can't send you this email again. At least the person knows that, oh, this is why this email was, pending, or why it was in quarantine, etc. So this is where you do it. And this is where you download it once it is ready. I have no reports, but once it is ready, this is where you'll be able to download it. Then for the rules, why is my rules not showing? Anyway, for the rules, this is where you create transport rules. You can create different type of transport rule. You can create a rule that says if messages from this particular company is coming to my own company, I want it to go to spam, or I want it to not go to spam. Or if there is a particular stage of approval, you can create a rule. Okay, you can apply a disclaimer saying if the email is coming from outside my company, apply a disclaimer saying external caution, this email is coming from an external domain. Also, you can bypass spam for some companies or for some domains you trust, or from your on-premise domain. You can also restrict messages by sender, like saying you don't want this particular person or this particular company to be able to send email to my company. Or you can also send messages to a moderator. For example, you want to send an email to a particular, maybe to a CEO. You don't want anybody to be able to have access to your CEO. But of course, your CEO email address is very simple for people to know. It's first name dot last name at yourcompany.com. So what you can do is, before the message reach the CEO personal assistant gets the email first. If the CEO personal assistant is okay with that email, then they approve it, then it's sent to the CEO. Else, they can just decline the message there and then. So these are just the, also for legal reasons, you can also be approving some particular emails as well. So this is what creating a rule does. Forwarding as well, if you want to like forward a particular message, you can create a forwarding rule here as well. Like, oh, all messages sent to this should be forwarded to this. We can just create a simple rule, I think. Let's try and create one. Let me give it this name. Apply this rule if the sender is, let's see. Let me choose Ashlyn, add, okay. Do the following: forward the message for approval, or reject the message, or delete the message without notifying anyone, or append disclaimer. So let me just specify disclaimer text. External. Approach with caution. Okay. Ignore. Okay. Save. And that's all. And once an email is sent from this email address to anybody in my organization, they are going to receive this disclaimer saying external approach with caution. So that's how basically rules work. It's just simple configuration. And also you can set the priority number to 0 or to 1 or to 2, but because this is the only rule here, it's going to be in 0 because it's the only rule. So once you add more rules, you will start to see different priority numbers and you can assign to it as well. So here is where you can add remote domains for if you have an on-premise and an on-premise domain and you want to add a remote domain, this is where you can add as well. Accepted domains are your own domain as well. I only have this default domain. I don't have any other domain. I don't think so. Then you also have connectors. If you want to connect your Office 365 to your organization email server or to a partner organization, this is where you do it as well. Also, you can get alerts here. I have no alerts, but this is where you can view or export the most recent alerts your organization have. And you can also create alert policies also from Exchange Online. You can also do this same alert also on the security side of things. The last alert I had was 2 years ago. Okay, so the next thing is role group. So this is where you can also like change some roles. Again, you can also do this in the security side of things, but there are some that are only for Exchange Online as well. So this is where you can create, add people to like different roles. For example, you need an e-discovery manager. I don't know, okay, it's on the security side of things. An e-discovery manager to be able to perform searches. Okay, we have it here. To be able to perform search on some mailbox. Not everybody can be able to do that as well. You need to give them like a particular role for that. Then for migration, there are different type of migration. There is the IMAP migration, there's the cutover migration, there's a remote migration. So if you want to migrate from, maybe you are using Gmail before, or you're using Google Workspace, sorry, before, and you want to migrate to Office 365, this is where you do it. Or if you're in an hybrid setting and you want to move some users to cloud, this is where you do it. Or you want to cut over, you want to start afresh with Exchange Online. However, you still have some mailboxes on premises and you want to move everything, public folders, mailboxes, your emails, you want to move them over. This is where you do that as well as an IT admin. Also, for the mobile device access, this is where you see quarantine devices. I have no device on mine. You also set your mobile device mailbox policy as well here. I prefer to actually do it on the Azure side of things, but again, you can do it here as well. And this is where you create public folders for your organization. I have none. And this is the public folder mailboxes. So you have to first create a public folder mailbox before you be able to create a public folder. Organization, sorry for moving this. For FreeBusy, for example, if I want to book a calendar and my organization is partner with maybe, let's say, Microsoft, and I'm working for Sarah's company and we are partners, and I have people that I send an email to, I do calendar meeting with them. So what both organizations can do is create a enable free building using this. So I can add Microsoft here, and Microsoft can add mine also in theirs. So when I want to schedule a meeting, I can see their calendar information, like, oh, this person is busy by so time. So I won't be able to, schedule a meeting by this time. So that's what organization sharing stand for as well. But this is between federated exchange organizations, while individual sharing is between external organizations. So it depends on what exactly the partner is to you. Do you have a federation between each other, or they are just totally external? So this is where you make those changes as well. Then for the add-ins, this is where you have your add-ins for Outlook. So as you can see, what we have in my own is just Bing Maps, Viva Insights. These ones are installed by default. So you can also add some extra ones as well if you want to for your own use. Then we also have the classic Exchange Admin Center, although it is similar to what we've done, and they've moved some of the things to, like this has been moved to the security side of things. So this is retired one, but many people still use it. However, you can just go through it on your own spare time and be able to like go around as well. So it's basically the same thing, only that we've moved things like save attachments, save links to the security side of things instead of Exchange Online. So moving on, that's all on the Exchange Online overview side of things. Let me just close that so I don't get confused. So now moving on to Teams. I'll be giving a brief overview because MS 100 is just an overview of all Microsoft's main platform services and some other questions that you're going to be asked. So you know where to go for when it comes to like mailboxes, organization sharing. You can go to the Exchange admin portal to do all those things. Then for Teams, you know that Teams admin is where you do all these other things as well. So for Teams, this is where you can create teams, you can manage the teams, you can, and if you create a Teams here, it also appears in the Exchange Online side of things as well. So this is where you can create a team policy as well. What you want this is the default one. What you want the team to be able to do. Do you want them to be able to create private channels, create shared channels, invite external users to shared channels? So this is the global default one. I don't want to touch it. But you can always add a new policy to some specific users on this side of Teams as well. And also you can also manage users on this side of things and give them a policy. For example, for me, I have all my policies are global. So this is where you can also change the policies for each users. So after creating a policy, you can assign them to these particular users. Going back to, then you can also do guest access here. So sometimes when you join a Teams meeting as an external user, sometimes you will not be able to make private calls. Sometimes you'll not be able to share your screen. Sometimes you'll not be able to create meetings. So this is where everything is being done. So for my guest users, if I don't want them to be deleting their messages, this is where I do it. If I don't want them to be send GIF, this is where I do it as well. For my external users, if I don't want them to be able to share their screen, I turn it off. I turn it off here as well. So when guests joins my meeting, they will not be able to delete their send messages. They will be able to chat. They would not be able to send GIFs, and they will not be able to send memes. They will not be able to send stickers. That's what I want for my organization. So this is where you can make those changes. Same for external access as well. So this is where you can say allow all external domains, which means everybody can join the meeting. However, if you want to allow only specific external domains, which means people with gmail.com should not be able to join, people with hotmail.com should not be able to join. If I only allow like maybe some specific people, however, I'm going to allow all. So this is where you make those changes as a Teams administrator. And also for the Teams devices as well, you can also make changes to the policies for Teams on Windows, Teams on Android, and what have you. For the Teams apps as well, this is where you can manage apps. So if you open Teams, you'll be able to see that. Let me see if we can open Teams. Yes. So if you open Teams, you can see all these apps, right? More apps. You can even get to see more apps if you want to. So this is where the setting is being done. The setting is being done here. You can remove the apps. You can upload new app. If you have a personal app, you can also upload your personal app as well. Then you can also do some permissions as well. Like if you don't want users to be able to upload apps themselves, you can make those policies here as well. Then for Teams meeting as well, also, we have audio conferencing. We have meeting policies where you can make your policies. And this is it. Meet now internet, you can turn it off. Live broadcasting, you can turn it off or on. IP video, you can turn it off. So the kind of questions you get is like, you need to understand the different policies, the difference between meeting policies, permission policies for Teams apps, the Teams policies itself. So there are different policies. There's live event policies. So the kind of question you can get in your maybe MS 700 is, where do you change these policies for live events? Then you can see options like meeting policies, app policies, Teams policies, live event policies. You know the answer is live event policies. So those are the kind of questions you can get as well. Then you can also get a phone number if you want for your organization in Microsoft Teams as well. So all these are being done on the Microsoft Teams admin side of things. So for audio conferencing, you can get a local dialing number that's assigned to your organization when you purchase the licenses for audio conferencing. So you need a license for audio conferencing. And the international dialing phone number enables your participants to dial into team calls, either free of charge or for a price of a local call. It depends on your organization settings, and it depends on the country where you are in.
I know, so very sorry.
Okay.
I run out of data. So I'm trying to. Hello, boss. Good morning.
Yes, I can hear you.
Sorry, I ran out of data. That was why. So I'm trying to reconnect.
No
Okay.
worries. I'll just continue then.
No
And
problem. I'll get the
yeah,
record.
yes, the video will be
Thank
available on YouTube.
No problem. I appreciate it.
Moving on to the next thing is the SharePoint Admin Center. I specifically like SharePoint Admin Center because it's less like Exchange and Microsoft Teams. It's straight to the point. So now what's SharePoint? SharePoint is served as a site where you can store files, and also you can create like a mini site for your organization. So in SharePoint Admin Center, this is where you can either create sites or delete sites or export the list of sites you have. And also the sites have been retained for 93 days before they're permanently deleted after you delete the site. So you can easily restore it back. And this is where you do your sharing. So SharePoint is a bit tricky because OneDrive sometimes depends on SharePoint. For instance, if I reduce my SharePoint to this, OneDrive automatically reduce and I cannot increase OneDrive. However, if I increase my SharePoint, I can, play around with my OneDrive as well. But OneDrive depends on SharePoint. So whenever I move my SharePoint permission, OneDrive is also being moved as well. So this is the most permissive to the least permissive. So anyone can share files and folders using links that doesn't require sign-in. Guests must sign in and provide a verification code. Only guests already in your organization directory can, have access to these sites. Only people in your organization. So it depends on the kind of permissions you want available in your SharePoint as well. So this is where you make the settings for your SharePoint sites. And also for the access control time, you can do an I do session sign out, automatically sign out users from an inactive browser sessions, because SharePoint is mostly banking on the browsers. You can always do the settings for your network location, For apps that doesn't use modern authentication, I believe everybody should be using modern authentication now, for unmanaged devices. So this is where you do everything SharePoint. For your migration as well, if you want to migrate from your on-premises SharePoint server to your Office 365, this is it. If you also want to migrate from Google Workspace to your SharePoint online, this is where you do it. Or if you have any other means like Dropbox, you want to migrate to SharePoint, this is where you do it as well. Let's see if we can create, if I have a SharePoint website. Okay, I think I have one. I have one SharePoint site. Okay, so I have a SharePoint website as well. Do I have it in French? I don't even speak French. All right, so in this, my SharePoint site, so SharePoint can be used for many things. SharePoint can even be used as a data source. If you're familiar with Power Apps, which I'm going to talk about in a bit, you can use SharePoint as your data source to store data. You can use it as a library, you can use documents, you can also use it as a website for your organization as well, depending on what you want to use your SharePoint for. So SharePoint is really a big tool on its own, and it has so many other settings. Like if you don't want people to have access to a particular list, you can, make your list settings. You can change people who have access to edit things in your SharePoint. You can restrict access as well in your SharePoint. Okay. So that's all about SharePoint, the overview of SharePoint. So I'm going to be moving on to Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power BI, where we can be, and also the chatbot would create a chatbot ourselves. So by the end of this class, I want us to know what Power Apps is, what Power Automate can do, and chatbot. This is just overview. I'm not going to go into deep dive because there's already a Power Apps session. But as a Microsoft 365 admin, as a modern workplace admin, you need to have a good knowledge, a good understanding of how these things works. And if you come across the kind of question in the exam, you should be able to, answer questions as well about this. So I'm going to start with Power Automate. Let's open Power Automate. Is it open? No. I'm having a guess that we all have our portal set up, because I checked the previous videos from my colleague and I saw that she already taught you guys how to create a tenant for yourself. So I'm guessing after this class, we should be able to do some practicals ourselves and understand how this works. Try to create a group from Microsoft Teams, try to create a group from Exchange Online, trying to create a SharePoint site, play around with it so you understand more deep dive about how this works. So for me, I have many flows, but I'm going to create just one now. So Power Automate is more or less like an automation. It's you tell it what you want to do. There are different type of flows. You can create from a template. I'm not going to be doing that. So there's an automated cloud flow. When this happens, I want something to happen. That's what automated cloud flow means. Like when an item is added to SharePoint list, I want you to send an email to somebody, or an instant cloud flow where you have to, manually start the flow yourself, or a scheduled cloud flow that says, oh, every day at so time, I want you to do this, or a desktop flow. So I'm going to use an automated cloud flow. Let me do text stylers. Text, excuse me. Text stylers. Test. I'll say when an item is created in SharePoint. Great. Okay, now site address. I'm going to choose, let's see, desk reservations. I'm going to choose text. Nothing special. So when an item is created, so I'm saying, okay, when this is a SharePoint address, by the way, and this is a list I have in my SharePoint. So I'm going to be, let me go to the lists. Desk reservations. And the list is desk. So we are going to see it in real time happens. So the new step is, what do we want to do? So when this item is created, what do we want to do? Let's do send an email. Just a test of what we are going to do. So who's going to volunteer to send their email on the chat? Someone should give me their email address so we can do a test. Any volunteer?
Okay. Okay. I'm doing that. My personal email address.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyone you're comfortable with? Okay, thank you. So send an email to Aderoju. Then the subject should be textile email. Email. Then the font. So what should we say? This is a test email, and your car park is. We can choose a dynamic context car park here. Okay, I would save it.
Please help us to increase the font again.
Okay. Is it better now? All right. So what I did is I said when an item is created, send an email to Aderoju saying this. So what should we do now? Let's go to our sites and create an item so that Aderoju can get an email. So let me see. The title should be, let's say, Dex. Let me call it car park. Car park A. Active one. Let me just put a value. Okay. So car park would be Lagos Hospital car park 1. Then I save. So now let's do a test. Tests manually. Let's see if it ran. Did I save it? Okay, I saved it. Let's see. Run history. Okay, let me do it again. My flows. Okay, Adiraju, can you check if you get an email on your Gmail account?
Okay, let me confirm. Yeah, I got a prompt from Sarah.
Yes. So this is how it works. It's
Is a test email, and your car park is Lagos Hospital car park 1.
Exactly. So so this is how Power Automate works. I love Power Automate so much, and you can have like different data source. You can also connect it to an AI builder. But for the purpose of this exam, you don't need to know to go in depth about it. But I would encourage us to, to practice this a lot, and it can be used in many scenarios. For instance, the scenarios it was used for is I created for my client, I created a booking app. Let's call it a resource booking app, either desk or parking space or whatever booking app it is. And they wanted some people, like some big orgas, they don't want to be booking themselves. They want us to automatically book it for them. So what I just did, I just created a flow that says, okay, every day by 8 a.m., block this parking space in advance for these orgas so that nobody else will go and park there and so that nobody else will book it. So those are many things you can use Power Automate for. You can also use Power Automate for like, oh, whenever people add an item to a SharePoint, maybe they passed an exam, send them an email saying, yay, you passed an exam. We are lucky to have you in our team, blah, 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 blah. So once the person just comes here and like just puts, oh, MS 100, I wrote the exam, so day, of course, you have your own form for it. It's not going to be like this. Then the flow just runs from the back end and send an email to these people. You can also use the flow to move items from different SharePoint lists to a different SharePoint list. So a SharePoint list is like an Excel for it's just like an Excel. You can even export it as an Excel. It's just like Excel. So you can also move from different lists to different lists. In my own instance, I used it because Microsoft has this limitation of 2,000 items on Power Apps. And I knew that one day, all my users did more than 2,000 items. So what I did is I created a flow that every 15 days, it should move all the old booking, all the old packing app, all the old packing bookings to a master list, to a separate SharePoint list. So Power Automate can be used to do many things. You can use it to you know, create an item, send an item, send emails. You can do many things. So this is when an item is added. You can also schedule a scheduled Cloudflare, like, okay, starting from today at 10 a.m., repeat every day or every week or every month. Send an email reminding people to check their what's this called, to check their subscriptions. Or you can say every month, by this time of the day, I want you to send an email to my users to remember to put in their time in, to sign in to the organization and put in their time for the month so that they can get paid accordingly. So there are so many things that you can do with flows. Instead of you doing things manually, that's why it's called an automation. You just do it on its own. Um, so these are the basic things you can do with the current licenses we have. If you want to do more, I think you need more license for you to be able to use. I think an E5 license should be enough because I have an E3 license for you to be able to use things like and data vars and the rest as a connector. But again, our plan is not to go too deep into this. There is a particular cohort that's undergoing that you can check their YouTube videos for textilers as well. They are doing Power Apps and Power Automates in full as well. There's also a Power BI section. But as a Microsoft admin, as I said earlier, you just need to know these things, how it works, play around with it to be able to be an enterprise administrator, to get the certification, and also to be able to add more knowledge to your database and to be able to do these things in your organization and say, oh, we can do this way. Instead of you doing this way, we can do it this way as well. More or less like an IT generalist per se. So you can be an IT generalist, you know one or two things of its different thing as well. Power BI as well is again, it's not a course in this our own curriculum, but I would just like to just do a quick preview of how you can use Power BI. So Power BI is used to A Power BI dashboard is a selected group of visuals that can originate from one or more reports. It can be designed to aggregate data. You can use it to see the way all these things are. So Power BI makes it much more easier for you to put data together, to get data together and be able to create a dashboard and for it to be able to visualize. So I'm just going to do a quick, I think I added it last week. Let's see. I think I added it last week. And if you go to our chats, I added a file last week. So you can also do a sample as well in your by your own self. I added a data where you can create a power.
Please add it again so that we can share. No.
Okay, I would try and get it again. Give me a second. I'll try.
What link is that?
Not a link. I added a file.
Okay.
I added a file. Can you see it now? It's called procurement, an Excel file. But no worries, I can easily upload it again. Procurement analysis. It's loading. So I'm just going to add it to the group chat. We can just do it in our own spare time as well to see how the overview of how Power BI works. So I'm just going to do a quick overview on how it works. So when you click on get data, you can do this local file. You click on import. So this is just a Microsoft sample on the Power BI dashboard. It's taking a while. Okay, so you see it's all, so it just from an Excel file, it was able to get this. So Power BI is just an important tool where you get data and for visualization purposes. It tells the story through visualization and it contains only the highlight of the story. Like, instead of you having all these things, instead of you submitting Excel file, like, for a report, you can just give them this. Everyone knows that, oh, this is the total invoice of $221 million. Oh, I wish I have this money. And like your savings and your analysis. So that's how Power BI works. Again, this is just an overview. There is a Power BI cohort from Power BI specialists in this particular cohort where you can also join or watch their YouTube video afterwards to get more in depth on Power BI. So without further ado, I'll be moving on to the last two bits of today, which is Power Apps and also creating our first chatbot as well. Give me a second, please. Anyway, moving to Power Apps. By the way, to get to these apps, you just need to come to your portal.office.com and pick the app from any one of these. There's Power App, Power Automate, or you can click on all apps to take a view of all the apps you have available. Okay. So so this is Power Apps. Let me go to home. I already have like so many apps created by myself and created by one of my friends as well, as you can see, and that was shared with me. So so what is Power Apps? It's a low-code platform made by Microsoft for admins to be able to build like internal apps using organization so that they can have instead of them like spending money on software engineers, anybody should be able to create like a mini Power Apps on their own. And there are different type of Power Apps. There is Canvas apps, there is model-driven apps, and there is the portal as well. But for this class, I'm going to be doing more of Canvas apps because I love Canvas apps. So for model-driven apps is just created by through use of data, and you cannot do much more designs unlike Power Apps. So this is a sample of what you can do with Power Apps. So this app was created by a Microsoft MVP, a predominant. I copied from her. So this is a desk booking application. You can use it to book like, oh, I want to like book for tomorrow's desk. During that COVID period, people needed to book desks before they go to the office. This is the time slots. So all these things, this is the mobile version anyway. All these things are things that somebody did using Power Apps. And I love Power Apps so much. It's a very good tool, and you don't need to be like a software developer to be able to use Power Apps. So we can just create a test app from a template. Let's see. What should we choose? Let's do an help desk app. Let's call it help desk. So this is using a template, but you can create from scratch. If you are very good with designing apps yourself, it will be very good to design from scratch. I've built some apps for some clients and I designed it from scratch, although my design is terrible. However, we're able to make it work. So now this is already like a template already made by Microsoft. So if you are struggling maybe with creating an app, you can easily come here and copy some things that they have already as well. So now if we notice that there are two different login in as well. So for instance, when you want to start working on this kind of app, you can say, okay, if the person is not an admin, don't show them this this particular one. So if the person is not an admin, you want to turn it off. But if the person is an admin, you should be able to turn it on. So these are the things that you can do using Power Apps, and it's available for everybody in the organization, as long as they have an E3 or an E5 license, they'll be able to access it because it comes with Power Apps. So click on play. Let's see. Laptop or equipment issue, laptop software issue, medium, low. My laptop does not work properly. Title, laptop issue. Great. Your update ticket has been submitted. So many things goes on in the back end of whatever is going on. But I would say, in my own understanding, if I want to have like an help desk ticket, I can create this login screen. Once the user is login and the person is has submitted the tickets, you can use Power Automate to say, okay, once ticket is submitted, if you're using SharePoint as your data source, you can say once ticket is submitted, send an email to the IT admin saying a ticket has been submitted with a particular ID. Then me as an admin, I can now say, okay, somebody has submitted the ticket. Let me call them. Let me send them an email to help them out. So you can also add data source here. Okay, this is the test one. You can't. Let me just go back to my own app. Don't save apps. So let's see. I have an app. Then also for Power Apps, there are different type of environments. As you can see, this is the default environment. You can have like UA testing environments for people to test. You can have the dev environment, the production environment. That's for your live apps. And Power Apps is really, really great. So now, if you look at this, let's do a quick play. If I want to book for a parking space for, let's say, tomorrow, no, let me try 30th. So it's saying you cannot select past 7 days. So I already wrote a code that says, oh, if this user is not in this particular admin group, don't allow them to be able to book more than 7 days. So it cannot allow me to continue because I've selected past 7 days. But if I book tomorrow, for instance, and I say, okay, check, it tells me, oh, there are 30 parking spaces available. Then I continue. I click on book space. So this is the ground floor, basements, and basement 2, basement 1, and basement 2. Then if I click on this, it's going to show the map. I don't want to do that. Then I put in my car registration number, Lagos 1 2 3 4 5. Then I click on continue. So before I click on confirm, I want once I click on confirm, it says I'm booked.
Isaiah saw it precisely. According to Isaiah 8:1.
Can you please mute yourself, please? Thank you.
Good job. All right, let's go over these slides. Number 2 is Thursday. How many times was Paul shooting? Was it A, 1 time? B.
Can you mute yourself, please? Thank you. So
you sent the invite to me.
Continue. Okay. So if you can see from my end, should I increase the? If you can see from my end, I have like different data sources. I have Office 365 users. I have Office 365 groups. Again, remember you're an IT admin, so you need to know these things. Then I have SharePoint lists. So because of my license, I'm using a SharePoint to store my data. Remember we just spoke about SharePoint just now. So I'm using a SharePoint list. SharePoint list again, I remember I told you it's like Excel file to store my data. So if you see, I booked on 21st of August for my parking space. So if we go to parking reservations and parking space reservations. Oh, I have so many parking space. Okay, so you can see the one that we just created. Let me increase it so we can see it properly. You can see the lag 1 2 3 4 5 I just created and the time. So this is where it's been stored. There's no magic going on. This serves as my database because I don't have the license. So when you want to work with Power Apps, you need to ask them what kind of licenses do they have. If it's too many information that is going to be stored, you can tell them, oh, you need to get a bigger license to have, SQL database or Dataverse, wherever you want to store their data. But you can use SharePoint if it's not like a big organization and the items are not going to like expand more than the 2,000 limit that Power Apps have. So that's basically how Power Apps work. So here, let me just show us how it works. So I have different screens. This is my dashboard screen. This is my appointment screen. This is my parking details screen. This is my booking screen. So this is where most of everything works. If I click on continue, you would see I did this. I wrote some line of code. Again, you don't really need to, I won't call it code, I'll call it FX. You don't really need to know much. But with practice and with copying other people's own, with practice, you begin to understand what this work for. So what I just did is I set start time and end time, and I just picked the start date and the end date. And I say, okay, if this user is this, pick out select the correct date if the person's time is less than this, or if this person is not in this particular if this person is not in this group, don't allow them to book more than one time, because some people will book 3 parking spaces for themselves. So I'm like, okay, if this user is not an admin, don't allow them to book more than 1 parking space in a day. So if I try to book again for tomorrow, for 21st, if I try to book again, it's going to tell me that you've already booked for this day. I think I'm an admin, so it doesn't work for me. So I'm an admin, doesn't work for me. But if I was not an admin, it's going to tell me you've already booked for this day. Don't book again. So Power Apps can be used to do many things. You can use it to create an help desk. You can use it to build resource booking, that's desk booking, parking booking, any app you can think of. Instead of paying like a software engineering person, you as a modern workplace administrator can suggest to your company, why don't we use Power Apps already? We already have the license. I can do this. I can do that. I've learned this in textiles. I should be able to do this. Practice makes perfect. By this time last year, I could not even build a Power App. But now, after more practice, failing, asking people to help me out, I'm able to build like a standalone Power Apps. You save money for your organization or your clients. You save time. It's already embedded. You don't need to start signing in separately. As long as you are in the as long as you are already in the organization, you can have access to the apps as well. So that's what Power Apps is meant for. So when it comes to MS100, you won't be asked deep questions about this. You would only be asked like overview of, oh, okay, if you want to create an app that you can change the designs and whatnot, and they give you between Canvas app and model driven app, then you know that Canvas app is your answer, because this is the Canvas app where you can make the changes yourself. So I would say that's all about Power Apps. Any questions you have can be, please type it down. If I'm doing too fast, just let me know as well. I know this is too much information to undo, but once you are doing once you continue to practice these things, you'll be able to know how to like configure and be a Microsoft 365 administrator. In fact, okay, moving on to our next agenda. So what I want us to do is, when we get home, before next class, because I'm going to like set just a simple knowledge check questions for us in our next class. Before the start of the class, I'm going to like, put questions, or what do you do as an IT admin, blah, blah, blah. I'll give you options, then you have to answer me. So I want you to prepare in advance. I want you to go home, go to the SharePoint admin, try to create a SharePoint site, try to, set some permissions in SharePoint. Know how these permissions work out. Go to Exchange Online, try to create a resource booking, try to create an equipment mailbox or a room resource mailbox. Try to understand the different type of groups, as I've explained earlier. Try to create a new group. For your teams, try to create a new policy. For Power Apps, you can just try to create just a simple calculator would do, or just a simple app that you think you can do, either from the available templates or not. So you have 7 days to do this. Once a day, you can do 20 minutes once a day. Also, Power Automate, try to create a Power Automate that sends an email to your personal email address once something is being done. It can be a scheduled flow, every day send an email to me, or it can be using automated cloud flow, like, okay, when an item is added to a SharePoint list and whatnot. So for the last bit of today, we are going to create our first bot in Teams. So I'm going to be moving to Teams now. Okay. So this is Teams. This is Teams, right? So now the first thing you come to more apps. Once you come to more apps, but before I go ahead, we all know what a chatbot is, right? If you don't know what a chatbot is, you can unmute yourself. Chatbot is just simply a bot that answers questions posed by, because this is Microsoft Teams, other employees or your team members. So you can create a bot that answers the questions. So now I'm going to create a test bot. Moving on, I'm going to create a test bot. So the first thing you want to do is come to all apps and search for Power Virtual Agent. Wow. Okay, here it goes. Click on add. So none of it is added here. You can also pin it so it doesn't disappear. So I'm just going to create a chat bot within the next 5 minutes. No code. It can be an HR bot. It can be any kind of bot. But I'm just going to just do one now. So before you can create a bot, you need a Microsoft team. Oh, this is Textilers. I should not be using this.
All right. Now
Sorry.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Sorry, what is this all about?
So this is a Power Virtual Agent. It's for creating bots, a chat bot. So do you know sometimes when you go to a website and a chat bot just appears, how can we help you today?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as a modern workplace admin, what I'm basically teaching us is just the overview of all these things. We are not going deep dive because there is another cohort that's already doing this deep dive. However, as an M365 admin, fortunately, I won't say unfortunately, you need to know a bit of all these other technologies as well.
Okay.
All right. So I don't. Let's see if I can use this. Give me a second. I'm trying to use my personal accounts and not Textiler's accounts. Seems. Microsoft Teams on the web. Okay. All right. Loading. Power Virtual Agent. All right. Starts now. I want you guys, when you get home, to create a bot as well. Just a simple bot. I'm going to ask us about it next week, about the bots you created. So you need a Teams for this. So before you start to create a before you start to create a chatbot, you should create a Teams on the Teams admin site. So that's going to be assignments. Create a Teams on the Teams admin site. I already have one. It's called Chatbot Demo. Then you come back here and create a chatbot. So I'm going to choose this Teams instead of me creating a new Teams. And it's loading. It takes a while. It takes a while to load. Okay. So let's name this tech stylers bot. What language does your bot speak? English. Working on it. Okay. I'm just going to click test your bot. Type in message. Let's see. Hi. Still loading. Okay. Let's test just now. Okay. As you can see, this is already the ones that are already there. I am a virtual agent. I can help you do this, do that. If you would like to speak with a human agent, let me know, blah, 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 blah. And so this is where you can edit it. So now I don't want to say I am a virtual agent. I want to say this is tech stylers. Am I having a problem with speaking instead? But happy to help with your questions. Or you can give the bot a name. Instead of saying this is tech stylers bot, you can easily say, hi, this is I don't know, Adekunle Gold. Happy to help you with your questions. Then you save it again. So now, once you save it and you test it again and say, hi, let's see the reply. The reply change. So, hi, this is Adekunle Gold. Happy to help you with your questions. If you would like to speak to an human agent, let me know at any time. So what can I help you today? So this is just a simple way of creating a bot. Of course, there are so many other things you can do before you publish it anyway. There are so many other things you can do. You can also create like trigger faces that says, oh, if this is it, good afternoon, good morning, hello agent, this is this. You can even put WhatsApp as a trigger phrase. So when someone just type WhatsApp, as you can see, let's try and type WhatsApp. See if anything happens. See, when you say WhatsApp, sorry, I'm not able to find a related topic. Can you rephrase and try again? But when you add WhatsApp here, I think I would have to edit it. I would have to edit it under topics. I also edit under topics and add like WhatsApp. And and you can also create a new topic as well. And what it's going to do is it's just going to like say hi or reply what's up. This is adequately good. Just as bots should work. So the good thing about bots is that with time, it's very intelligent. With time, once you continue to create, like once you continue to add more topics, it's going to know, okay, this is what this person wants. This is another thing this person wants, or this is what this person wants to know. So this is why you create new topic. And let's see. Trigger faces. What's up? I add it. The message. Hey, what's up, my guy? How you doing? Save. Okay, now, so when I type what's up, let's see what happens. Hey, what's up, my guy? How you doing? So this is just an overview of Microsoft's 365 platform services. So we've covered a lot today, and I know it's a lot of information. So I'm going to leave us all to go home and reflect on what we've done today. We've spoken about Exchange Online. Just do a quick recap. Exchange Online admin, SharePoint admin, Teams admin. We've tried to create our first bots. We've tried to create our first apps using Power Apps. We've also tried to know how the visualization of Power BI dashboard, how it works. And we've done Teams, and also we've done what's it called? Power Automate. So by our next class, I'm going to jot down some questions. It's not going to be real questions, but it's just going to be something, maybe something I remember from my MS 100 exam, something similar, and like 5 or 7 questions. So make sure you come prepared. We're going to spend the first 10 minutes answering and asking questions amongst each other. I'm going to be asking us some questions to be able to show. I'm going to ask questions based on from what my colleague has taught you from the first class to the current class. So make sure you come prepared. I'm also going to post in the chat that we should be expecting just a mini test, no pressure on what we've learned so far, so we can know how to progress with because I notice most of you don't ask questions, so we can know how to progress with the next thing before we move to the next part of the modern workplace cohort classes. I'm going to stop recording now in case you want to ask questions.
Is it a theory test?